This story happened in the USA on May 1st, 2011. It's about Jeff Hall, who lived in Riverside, California. Jeff had a tough family history. His parents divorced, and he had to go through custody battles. His first wife, Letitia Neal, and him had 2 kids, Joseph and Shirley. They got married quickly after Joseph was born, but their marriage didn't last long, less than 2 years. There were issues during Letitia's pregnancy, where she drank alcohol and used drugs. After divorcing Letitia, Jeff married Krista, and they had 3 daughters. But Jeff noticed something worrying when Joseph and Shirley visited their mom. They would come back looking unhealthy, and Joseph's behavior was troubling. He became aggressive and would hurt other kids. Jeff thought Joseph might have been abused by Letitia's new boyfriend. Joseph had a lot of psychiatric evaluations that showed disturbing things. His behavior matched that of someone who had suffered abuse as a child. Because of neglect, Jeff got full custody of Joseph and Shirley in 2004. But then, in 2008, there was an economic crisis, and Jeff struggled financially. Jeff, a plumber by trade, faced tough times during the economic downturn. With fewer job opportunities, he found himself grappling with his beliefs and identity. Unfortunately, Jeff fell into the grip of extremist ideology, particularly Nazi beliefs, as he sought solace and purpose. In 2008, his journey down this dark path began, drawing him deeper into the ideology of hate and intolerance. As Jeff's involvement with Nazi organizations grew, so did his influence within these circles. He ascended to a leadership role within the National Socialist movement, known as the NSM, where he became a prominent figure. His charisma and organizational skills made him stand out among those who shared his extreme views. Jeff's activities included organizing rallies, donning Nazi attire, and spreading white supremacist propaganda. Not content with merely participating in the NSM, Jeff went a step further by establishing his own chapter in Riverside. This move solidified his commitment to the cause and allowed him to further propagate his beliefs within his community. He justified his attire not as mere costume, but as a symbolic representation of his unwavering dedication to his cause. Tragically, Jeff's involvement in extremism didn't exist in a vacuum. His home life, particularly his relationship with his children, suffered greatly. Joseph, his son, exhibited behavioral issues that led to his expulsion from several schools due to violent outbursts. Jeff, in response, withdrew Joseph and his sister from public education, opting to homeschool them. However, instead of providing a safe environment for his children, Jeff's home became a breeding ground for further radicalization and violence. His extremist beliefs and violent teachings only served to exacerbate Joseph's already volatile nature. This toxic environment led to instances of physical abuse, with Jeff resorting to violence as a means of discipline. In 2009, Joseph's mom, Letitia, went to the authorities about Joseph and Shirley's custody. She said Jeff, their dad, was really mean and had anger issues. They had a big fight about who should take care of the kids. Letitia told the court Jeff was part of a group called the NSM, and she was scared the kids might be like him. Even though she showed proof, the court said Jeff should keep custody. But Jeff wasn't a good dad. He hurt his family many times, even Joseph. Social workers came over 20 times because of this, but they still said the kids should stay with Jeff. Joseph's life got messed up because of this. Jeff was getting worse, and they didn't have much money. Their house was dirty, and there were weapons lying around. They even had swastika stickers in the living room. It was a bad place for kids to grow up. Joseph's mom tried to help, but she couldn't do much. It was a sad situation for Joseph and his sister Shirley, trapped in a place that wasn't safe or happy. On May 1st, 2011, Jeff went to a party thrown by some friends. While there, he mentioned to them how skilled Joseph was with handling a gun and how accurate he was when shooting. Later that night, Jeff returned home but found himself locked out. He had to climb through a window to get inside, where he promptly fell asleep on the couch. In the early hours of the morning, Joseph, who was only 10 years old at the time, made a chilling decision. While his dad slept soundly on the couch, Joseph went and got a revolver. He approached his father with the weapon, stood over him for a while, and then pressed the gun against his father's ear. With deliberate intent, Joseph pulled the trigger, forever altering the course of his life. The aftermath was a blur of chaos and disbelief. Krista, Joseph's stepmother, heard the gunshot and rushed to the living room. There, she found Jeff lying in a pool of blood and Joseph standing nearby. When she asked what happened, Joseph simply uttered the horrifying words, I've shot my dad." Panicked, Krista dialed emergency services, and soon the police arrived on the scene. Joseph was taken into custody and questioned by the authorities. The police were baffled and disturbed by the young boy's actions. They wanted to understand why he would commit such a heinous act. According to Joseph, it was a desperate attempt to escape from his father's attacks and threats. However, as the interrogation progressed, it became clear that Joseph didn't fully comprehend the gravity of his actions. Joseph told the police that he watched an episode of Criminal Minds and didn't think he'd get in trouble. In the show, someone like him killed an abusive father and didn't get caught. He thought his father wouldn't die from the gunshot to the head, but would understand his pain. Some think Joseph pretended to be naive, but others think he knew what he did. The detectives found that Child Protective Services had been to their home 23 times before. The system failed Joseph. He went to juvenile hall while waiting for trial. When he got there, they had to find shoes small enough for him. They found a pair just for him. Joseph was happy to have new shoes and asked if he could keep them when he left. While waiting for trial, Joseph threatened other inmates. Joseph believed he was safe because of a TV show. He thought he could do what he saw on TV without consequences. But reality was different. The police found out about his troubled home life. Despite this, Joseph ended up in juvenile hall. Even there, he faced challenges like finding shoes that fit. But even with new shoes, his future was uncertain. He wasn't thinking about the consequences of his actions. He just wanted to be free and keep the things he liked. But his actions in juvenile hall showed he still had a lot to learn about consequences and responsibility. After a fight, he told someone his age, "I'll wait for you to sleep, then I'll kill you." He also used bad words about race towards others. Maybe he learned from his dad. The trial started in 2013. Some say Joseph sat quiet in court with his lawyer. He didn't show much feeling when they showed pictures of his dead dad. Instead, he doodled in his notebook. The prosecution said Jeff's political beliefs didn't matter in the murder. They said Joseph would have killed him no matter what party he was in. Krista, Joseph's stepmom, said bad things about their home in court. She said Jeff did drugs and hurt Joseph a lot. Joseph got beaten for small things like being loud. The day before he killed his dad, Joseph told his sister he was going to do it, but the defense said Jeff threatened to burn down the house the night before. This scared Joseph a lot. Joseph's lawyer said he grew up in a violent place, so he thought killing was okay. He said Joseph didn't understand how serious it was. The lawyer said if you wanted to make a killer, you'd raise them like Joseph was. The lawyer also said Krista made Joseph do it. Jeff cheated on her, and Joseph knew. He said, "He's always on the phone or texting when mom's not around." Krista knew about the cheating too. Before Jeff slept on the couch for the last time, he talked a lot with his secret girlfriend. Joseph's childhood wasn't easy. His dad was mean and did drugs. Joseph got hurt a lot for no reason. He even told his sister he'd hurt his dad. But Joseph was scared too. His dad threatened to burn the house down. Joseph didn't know what to do. In court, Joseph stayed quiet. He didn't look sad when they talked about his dad's death. He just drew in his notebook. The lawyers argued a lot. They said Jeff's politics didn't matter. Joseph would have hurt him anyway. Krista, Joseph's stepmom, said Jeff was bad. He did drugs and hurt Joseph. Joseph's lawyer said Joseph grew up in a scary place. He thought hurting people was okay. About 7 months after Joseph got arrested, he talked to a prison guard and told them something big. He said his stepmom Krista told him to kill his dad. Joseph's lawyer talked about this in court. He said Krista had a strong reason to want Jeff dead. On the day Jeff got shot, Krista talked to the police. At first, she said she killed Jeff. But then she said she only said that to protect Joseph and had nothing to do with Jeff's death. Joseph's lawyer said Krista took advantage of him. He was scared and troubled, and she was like a parent to him. She made him do something terrible. The prosecution disagreed. They said Joseph acted alone and was very dangerous. In 2013, Joseph got convicted of second-degree murder. He got sent to a juvenile detention center for 10 years. His lawyer tried to get him into a different place, one that could help him get better. But they said no. Krista also got arrested. She got charged with neglect and having weapons where she shouldn't. The gun Joseph used was left out by Krista. People got mad about Joseph's conviction. They said he didn't really understand what he did wrong. They also didn't like how the police talked to Joseph. He said he didn't want to stay silent when they asked him questions, but many said he didn't understand what that meant. Some people said the justice system failed Joseph. They thought he needed help, not punishment. They wanted things to change so kids like Joseph could get the help they needed. They said the system should be fair to everyone, no matter how old they are. They said that maybe this made him say he did things he didn't really do. They tried to make the punishment less, but the top court said no. In the place where young people who break the law stay, Joseph went to school and talked with therapists. People in charge of making sure Joseph was guilty asked if they could see him. They went to see him a few times. They said they got to like Joseph and thought he was doing well in the place where he was staying. Some people disagree about cases like Joseph's. Some say he did bad things because of where he grew up, but others say he's still someone who killed someone else. What happened to Joseph was sad and made the rules change. Now, young people under 16 can talk to a lawyer or their parents before the police ask them questions. If Joseph had these rights before, maybe the trial would have been different. If you like this content, please consider subscribing to our channel for more updates.